In the last GP at Zandvoort, Max Verstappen finished 22 seconds behind Lando Norris. 22 seconds. That's an eternity in F1. What's happening with Red Bull? Why has the RB20, which was a perfect machine, now seemingly turned into a ticking time bomb in the hands of Verstappen and Perez? But wait, it gets even more interesting. Christian Horner, Red Bull's big boss, has a rather controversial theory about McLaren's success. He's got his eye on the orange car's front wing and thinks there might be something strange going on there. Has McLaren found a loophole in the FIA rules, or is Red Bull just looking for excuses for their poor performance? In this video, we're going to break it all down. Red Bull's problems, McLaren's meteoric rise, Horner's theories, and what we can expect for the rest of the championship. Let's start by dissecting what's happening with Red Bull. At the beginning of the season, it seemed like we were in for another year of absolute dominance from Max Verstappen and company. The Dutchman won 7 of the first 10 races, and the RB20 seemed to be on another planet in terms of performance. But then, something changed. In the last 5 races, Red Bull hasn't managed a single victory. That's right, 5 races without seeing the checkered flag in first place. For a team that was used to winning almost by default, that's quite a shock. And the worst part? The performance seems to be getting worse with each race. At Zandvoort, we saw something many thought impossible. Verstappen, in his home race, finishing 22 seconds behind winner Lando Norris. Max himself doesn't hide his frustration with the car. After the race in the Netherlands, he vented, "I couldn't do anything. Everything I tried to do with the car during the race didn't translate into results. When I turn left, the car doesn't turn immediately as I want it to." These words from such a talented driver are a clear sign that something is very wrong with the RB20. But what exactly is causing these problems? Well, it seems the car's balance is completely off. Verstappen mentioned problems with understeer and oversteer happening at the same time, a nightmare for any driver. Additionally, tire wear, especially on the left side, is way above normal. Red Bull is so desperate for answers that they even decided to test different setups between Verstappen and Perez in the last GP. And you know what's more intriguing? While Red Bull is spinning its wheels, McLaren seems to have found the magic formula to fly on the tracks. And that's where the most controversial part of this whole story comes in. Christian Horner, Red Bull's big boss, isn't known for keeping quiet when something bothers him. And recently, he dropped a bombshell that's causing a stir in the F1 paddock. The target this time? McLaren's front wing. According to Horner, the front wing is a key area for performance. In his own words, "If you look at the angle of McLaren's and Mercedes' front wing, they are very, very different. Very different from the rest of the grid." Is Horner implying that McLaren has found a loophole in the rules? Let's break it down. The front wing is a crucial component in an F1 car. It not only generates downforce, but is also responsible for directing airflow to the rest of the car. A small change in this area can result in significant performance gains. What Horner seems to be suggesting is that McLaren, and possibly Mercedes, have found a way to interpret the FIA rules differently, allowing for a front wing design that gives them a significant aerodynamic advantage. Horner isn't directly accusing McLaren of cheating. What he's doing is pointing to a possible gray area in the regulations. In F1, finding these murky areas of the rules and exploiting them to the fullest is almost an art form. The question is, if McLaren's front wing is really within the rules, why hasn't Red Bull copied the design yet? Well, it's not that simple. Each car is designed as a whole, and a drastic change in one component may require a complete redesign of other parts of the car. Moreover, if Red Bull believes there's something questionable about McLaren's design, they may be waiting for clarification from the FIA before making any moves. After all, developing a new front wing takes time and money, and nobody wants to invest in something that could be banned soon after. But while this controversy simmers behind the scenes, on the track, McLaren continues to impress everyone. And that's what we're going to talk about now. If at the beginning of the season someone had said that McLaren would be the team to beat in the second half of the year, they'd probably be called crazy. But that's exactly what we're seeing happen. McLaren's evolution throughout this season has been nothing short of spectacular. They started the year struggling, But race after race, they brought updates that transformed the MCL38 into a true war machine. At Zandvoort, we saw the pinnacle of this evolution. Lando Norris not only won the race, but dominated from start to finish, ending 22 seconds ahead of Verstappen. But it wasn't just the victory itself that was impressive. It was the way Norris won. McLaren's pace was simply out of this world. Even in the final moments of the race with already worn tires, Norris was able to set the fastest lap. This shows not only pure speed, but also excellent tire management, precisely an area where Red Bull is suffering. McLaren team principal Andrea Stella doesn't hide his confidence in the car's potential. After the victory in Zandvoort, he even mentioned that the team could aim for a winning streak similar to Sebastian Vettel's in 2013 when the German won the last 9 races of the season for Red Bull. Of course, such a statement might seem a bit bold, but the fact is that McLaren really seems to have found something special. The car is fast in all types of corners, has good traction out of corners, and is efficient on the straights. In other words, it's a complete package. And we can't forget about Oscar Piastri, Norris's young teammate. The Australian has shown impressive performance for a rookie, securing podiums and proving that McLaren has not only a competitive car, but also an extremely talented driver lineup. The big question now is, will McLaren be able to maintain this pace until the end of the season? And more importantly, will Red Bull be able to react in time to save their championship? Now that we understand the big picture, let's dive a little deeper into the specific problems Red Bull is facing. Because believe me, it's not just a matter of, oh, the car is slow. It's much more complicated than that. The first big problem is the balance of the RB20. Max Verstappen has consistently complained that the car simply doesn't respond as it should. In one turn, he feels understeer when the car doesn't want to turn. In another, it's oversteer when the rear wants to break loose. That bothers him. It's as if the car has developed its own personality, and a rebellious one at that. But the nightmare doesn't stop there. Tire wear has been a separate drama. At Zandvoort, we saw Verstappen desperately struggling with his tires, especially on the left side. He even shouted over the radio saying there was no grip. When your own driver is screaming in frustration, you know things are ugly. And you know what's most intriguing? Red Bull seems so lost that they decided to test completely different setups between Verstappen and Perez in the last GP. It's as if they're playing the lottery, hoping to hit the magic combination by sheer luck. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's consultant, doesn't hide his concern. He admitted that the team needs to find something to become competitive again. Marko even mentioned that there's something in the pipeline, but will it arrive in time? Because let's be honest, time is running out. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave that cheeky like and subscribe to the channel. Turn on the bell too, because believe me, you won't want to miss any details of this final stretch of the championship. Until next time, folks.